Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Thomas, you don't have audio inside the show, I think, your mic.
Oh, yeah, here we are. All right, one more time, folks. Sorry about that. All right, one more time. Oh, let's just jump into the studio. I welcomed everybody in. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you around here. My mouth is moving, but I'm not talking. So on that note, let me go ahead. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Happy freaking Monday, everybody. Has it been a good Monday for you, apparently? Well, not as good as it could have been here. Yes, I fucked with my audio, apparently. And before I go too farther, I need to go back and get my output from OBS. I turned off the output from OBS. Turn it back on again. There we go. It was bad enough doing the intro without hearing any audio. You guys couldn't hear me. Oh my God. Insult after injury. But you know, we'll have a fun time anyway, folks. Good evening. Welcome to Disclosure tonight. Yes, it's been one of those years. Where's Disclosure gone? Where it's going? Well, at least we've got stuff to talk about. So I'll be grateful on that one. Hopefully we've all had a pretty good time. Where are we getting into? Yes. Skywatcher. Oh my goodness. It seems that the person who has interviewed, who was it? Gary Nolan, whose video was taken down off the Soul Foundation's website. He also interviewed back in the day. He interviewed Colonel Carl Nell. And on top of that, he was also the major funder behind Skywatcher. But unfortunately, yep, he's actually been tied back to the Epstein files. Now, granted, well, we'll figure out where that's going to go. It's just kind of a black eye into ufology. It's hard enough to find money, but to find out the money is tied to something is ludicrous as the Epstein files. Jay, do you think they'll want to give it back, or do you think they'll want to keep on taking it?
Thomas, you already know they're going to want to keep on taking it. Like, all right, so you've got Jake Barber that comes out with this this wonderful plan to come out with UFO disclosure in a scientific manner. Cool. But then you've got the aspects that he still has contracts with companies that he works for, has NDAs with, everything else. Then you've got, you know, their main person has left the scene. Oh, we don't need the dog whistle anymore. That's okay. That's because you never had it in the first place.
Yeah, it's true. It's out there. But just to be clear on who we're actually talking about here, it seems that Alex Klukas is the individual. Let me see if I can find that video. I should have her on here. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry about interrupting.
Oh, no, you're fine. So the government finds out that the dog whistle works, and they say, nope, you can't play with your little toy anymore. You're getting too much evidence, so we're going to take that away from you. Now, you know, he's under an NDA, and they lose that bit of technology that they were using to call these things in or invite them in. But I say call because it's literally a signal they put out. Like
you're talking about the dog whistle, as they call it.
Yes, exactly. The dog whistle tech.
So did the dog whistle then potentially get hit with the Inventions Act?
Not the Inventions Act, the Secrecy Act.
Oh, the Secrecy Act. Interesting.
The government took it over. He is now under a government contract with I don't know the company he's with though. I believe that's still under hush or something, but they got him under an NDA working with the government under a government contract under another company.
Interesting. So are we talking about someone working for the DOD? Because it was interesting. There was a conference that happened over the weekend called UFO Con, and they were coming together talking about a bunch of technologies they have out there for going ahead and observing things in the sky. And God, where the hell was I leading with this? Go ahead for a second. My mind just freaking blanked. It's one of those goddamn days.
It's a tell and no show. That's what it is. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to come out with some great information. Just keep watching the channel, and everybody subscribes. They make all this money, and then they're like, well, it's not going the way we thought we would go, but we're still making it. We're still doing it. So we'll just put out one video every year.
Yeah, it's a bit tough. There were a lot of promises were made, a lot of things were said, not a lot of things were delivered yet to that degree. On that note, let me see what I can go ahead and find here. I know I've got some stuff, and I was just talking about Alex Koklos, who was already talking about. Let me go ahead and bring up this little clip here. All right, this is where he's interviewing Carl Nell. He's a familiar person. We've seen him in a bunch of interviews before. Alex has interviewed Gary Nolan. He's interviewed Carl Nell in this one. He's the founder, I believe, of the SALT Forum, which this is like a major VC investment forum that they have. And he's been trying to bring people to introduce them to go ahead and fund some of these UFO programs like Skywatcher and maybe some of the things that Gary Nolan has his hands into. So coming away from Alex and his involvement in that, he's also one of the major funders with Skywatcher. And I believe he was even at that one retreat at Elysian, wasn't he?
I believe he was, yes.
Yeah. And he's been in the Skywatcher movie that was coming out, so it's just a matter of time to figure out where it's at. Kyle, go ahead.
Isn't Peter Thiel wrapped up in that?
I think isn't Thiel involved with funding some of the Jesse Michaels and such?
I know he was. I know he was with Jesse Michaels, but I think I heard that Peter Thiel was pretty invested in Skywatcher. Looking good, Daryl.
Oh, what I missed with Daryl?
Just trying to compete with Tim over here.
Oh, there you go.
The sunglasses twins.
When the future's so bright, you got to wear shades, I guess.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, interesting. The silver, was that it? No, that's not it. Let's get out of this post. I've got a bunch of things coming up in my bookmarks for us to get into. Yeah, Skywatcher's got some interesting times ahead. We'll see where they go, but it's not all right. He's got a great security system. Yeah, they do. Let's get into it. All right, so going in a different order here, breaking Air Force veteran claims Vandenberg nuclear missile site was infiltrated by non-human entities. Richard Barth was guarding a missile site when a hooded being paralyzed and abducted him. Next thing he knew, he was aboard a UFO hovering over the base with 4 other people. Let's take a quick listen into this one coming to us from the Jesse Michaels show.
Assigned to it, and my job at this base, nothing really. And I was on the night shift. Basically, next thing I know, I see this shadow.
The audience is going to say there's no audio. God, how did all these things get turned down? Yeah, the update and re-screw of... Oh, God, I fixed it. Thank God. Let's go. OBS, we're back.
I was assigned to a Minuteman missile site. My job was just basically sit there, do nothing really. And I was on the night shift. Basically, next thing I know, I see this shadow in the fog. I see a man emerge from the fog, and I thought, well, what the heck? The sergeant walked back, but then the next thing, this figure kept coming towards me. Now, it had a trench coat on.
Really?
Very similar to the raincoats that were issued to the officers. So my next thing, well, I wonder if that's some officer checking up on me. But as it got closer, I realized this was not what it was. And I could feel it in my mind. I mean, started grabbing hold of me. And I became really frightened. And I tried to pull my pistol, and my right arm was paralyzed. I couldn't move it. I could move my body, but I couldn't move my arm. And I became more terrified. Whatever it was terrifying me. And whatever it was had control of at least my right arm. And I was standing just outside the shack, and the figure was continued coming towards me. And there was a shelf at the back, and I can remember distinctly pushing my back into that shelf and trying to push the back of the shack out. I was like a rat caught in a trap, and the terror was just, I couldn't describe how, I was just terrified. The next thing I know, I'm out, and I don't know if I passed out or it's just blank at that point. Next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor of the guard shack, and this being...
Interesting, to say the least. It's one of those things, I've got an experience, I've got stories that I tell, but a lot of people are going to listen to it and say, okay, is it believable or not? It's hard to tell. Any thoughts from anyone in the back? Jay from MUFON?
I believe it.
You believe it?
It sounds like because when I was actually at I wasn't at like a missile site or anything, but an ammo dump, and usually you'd have guards there, the same thing that they would be doing, and yeah, it was boring. When you were on the night shift, there was nothing to do. It was like crickets could be, that you could hear them everywhere, but yeah. I believe it. But you can tell the way that he talks that it happened to him.
Yeah.
Something mysterious happened to him. He lost consciousness. This, and it sounds like Men in Black, kind of like this guy was coming up in a trench coat. Like,
though, it's hard to tell. Because the way these videos are edited, any pause for a breath of a space of what they're saying, it's edited out. So you really can't watch a person as they're talking through it and understand if they're sitting there pausing, stammering, try to remember it, and then they keep on going, right? It's edited out. So believable. He sounds like he's recalling it perfectly, going through it. He can see it as he's talking about it, especially sometimes with your eyes closed because you're seeing what you've been through. I get that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But you got to see the original video to know more.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So, no. Let's see if I can get into this. I've got somewhere in here, not for you. I've got it. Where'd it go? Let's get back to my bookmarks again. Actually, not bookmarks, damn it. It's sitting over here. All right. So if you didn't catch it yesterday, it may have been under a rock. We've got Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. And they have a new trailer they brought out yesterday. We'll go ahead and play it first. And then we've got another copy of the trailer going that has Steven Spielberg going and talking over and giving us an overview. So let's jump into this. We'll play it. We'll talk about it, see what the audience thinks, and go from there. Let's kick back and enjoy video one, which is just the new trailer playing, followed by Steven Spielberg talking about it. Here we go, folks.
We're interrupting our coverage. There has been a threat to publicly release government material long shrouded in secrecy. Are they people?
No.
Do you think there could be others?
People have a right to know the truth.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world, all at once.
if you do this, there's no undoing it.
There will be no other day like tomorrow.
There we go.
We're in a
First one. Let's get to the one now with Spielberg talking through it. And then we're going to play it and pause it and talk about it, because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of things everyone is hearing in the different parts and seeing that we need to expose a little bit deeper. Here we go. Oh, wow. So this trailer is copywritten. Are we still outputting? No, we're not.
Yeah, you're good, I guess.
Yeah, we are. It's a reaction video. Wow, they're hitting us on that. Is the audience still there? It's frozen.
Yeah, it's not playing on YouTube.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
I think we're back. Wow, wow, wow. Let's see if YouTube is going to be a bitch and kill the show and not let it be shown. Let's get in the back. Hold on. Let me get in the dashboard. I've played trailers before, and it's never been blocked. Let me just go ahead and stop the streaming. Streaming again.
Yeah, any of his trailers, they block, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Are we back?
I don't know.
Hold on.
It's only a trailer.
YouTube is still has all your comments going, Thomas. All your
Does it have is the show stopped?
no, the show is frozen. It's frozen on Spielberg, but the chat is still playing.
Oh, this sucks. How far in? Wow. How far in was it? We can hear, no video.
He's got his hands together like this.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's me. Here we go. How about now?
Not playing anything.
Yes, we are here. We got it.
You're here, yeah.
Okay, we're back. Well, I had no idea. Well, I guess you know what? We're not going to go ahead and play the clip of Spielberg talking through it. But when you heard it, when you saw it, okay, you can see Daryl. We've got everybody here now. I guess what I can do is I can jump through it. One thing that was interesting going through the little pieces here. They're saying, but no Thomas. But you can see Thomas on YouTube right now, Daryl?
I can see the stopped image of the video, yes.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Is it still blocked?
I don't think you had press play yet, what I just saw on YouTube.
No. I'm here. Let me get to my channel. You're good, Thomas. Everyone says we're fine. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We see
we're live. We're fine. All right, where the hell was I? Yeah, let's get back to this. Interesting piece. I guess I will play a couple seconds here and there as we're going through it. First thing, let me get rid of this trailer since this is the one. I'll play 4 seconds, I think. I can get away with 4 seconds.
Our coverage.
Not that one. A little bit further.
Long shrouded in secrecy.
You hear that popping in the background, Daryl?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
That's, I think. Is it frozen again, or are we still good?
It's not playing the video on YouTube.
No, we're good on YouTube. We're fine.
YouTube moving around to me, but not the
They
video.
really don't like this one.
No, they don't. You can't even play it for a couple seconds. I mean, get the live. Yeah, we're fine. We're good. So we're not froze. I'm watching it. I've got it live over here. I'm seeing where it says froze over on YouTube, like my dinner frozen. So anyway, there's clicking and there's popping noise. It's paused on Steven Spielberg, and I'm only playing this like for a couple seconds at a time. We get to another spot. They're listening on the laptop. Play for 3 seconds.
Are they?
Again, you're hearing the popping, the clicking, the different things that are going on. So I'll keep on moving here so people know that I'm not frozen. That's something where they're trying to get to. This is that alien language that they're hearing what's going on. Let's hear it again. Nothing there. No, nothing going on there. Okay. Really cool thing here. Where they're showing this and they're showing stuff racing around and everything. I've got to talk about this here really quick, Daryl. Many years ago, I have this memory of this time going on where the non-human intelligence is like consciousness based, right? But the consciousness can jump from human to human.
Oh, no, you're
right?
Lagging on YouTube right now. Oh, came back.
We're fine. I'm watching. We're good. I'll turn that off. Get it out of here so they don't see it. There we go. There we go. We're fine. Steven Frozenberg. There we go. Taken down. We should be fine. They're not going to go after us now. All right. So let me just get out of here.
So now we got the guy with the Epstein file.
Oh, let's get back to here. No, interview guest. Here we go. All right. So, had this one picture up here for a second. And I got to show it because I can, and it's a still freaking frame. They can't go after me for it. Let's get back to it one more time. This, where they're showing the stuff flying around. I had a dream again. It's more than a dream. It's a memory. I'll never forget it. Where the non-human intelligence could be like inhabited a body, like a consciousness, and take over that body, but they could jump from human to human. And this just reminds me of that to a really big degree of what's going on out there. And yeah, sorry about I'm not sure even what's going on with their audience right now with the shit. I've been jumping around trying to figure out what the hell is going wrong with the show. I've never had him kill a trailer before, but either way, let me get back to Brave Browser. Forget about talking about that for now. Let's move on. I got a bunch of other stuff that we can get into today. Let's get into it. All right. Little update. SpaceX has shifted all of their activities, Daryl, going from Mars to focusing on establishing bases on the moon over the next 10 years. And they've got a plan to get out there to go ahead and launch the rockets, get them up there, but they want to go ahead and actually take them down and put them on their sides and actually use them to construct actually parts of the base out of. Ingenious method, because they're talking about the ability to produce over 1,000 of these a year in the future. Ed, your hand is up.
Yeah, Thomas, I hate to disagree with you, but there's another interpretation, because you've covered this twice. There's another interpretation that I got from listening to Sean Duffy on an interview where he was pushing Musk to change that priority from Mars to the moon.
Okay.
It wasn't that Musk decided to do it.
Well, that's fine. Either way, Musk has to go along with it.
Yeah, well, that's true. But the implication was that it was the government's idea to put the moon higher priority than the Mars mission.
Well, if that's the case, that's fine. Either way, it sounds like he's in for it, and they've got a plan to go ahead and maximize the resources that SpaceX can go ahead and develop, I guess, out of the new mega factory. Kyle, your hand is up.
It sounds like they're going after helium-3.
Could be. But if they need to have actual bases for them to actually go and operate out of, I guess they have always talked about going down in that lava tube, but this is another method to possibly do it and just bury the starships with regolith, a lot of dust, and turn them into, I guess, pre-manufactured homes. So good for that. It's nice to see that they're trying to find ways to take and move all of that together. On that note, let me shut that one down. Let's go on to our next one, see where we're at. Oh, let me get back to where I can get these pop back and forth. Interview guest. There we go. All right. There's been a lot of talk still going on. Where is that base at where we've discovered a UFO and we want to go ahead and we've built a building on top of it to hide it? You know, we've heard that there could be sites that are going on in South Korea, but another one that's out there that people aren't forgetting. Let me see if I can... A little bit. Here we go. Bring it out. The other one that's still up there that people are still considering. Baghdad. the too big to move UFO claim and why the Baghdad embassy keeps on coming in the conversation. One of the most persistent claims of modern UFO discourse is deceptively simple. Somewhere in the world, a non-human craft has allegedly been recovered intact, discovered to be so large that it could not be moved. You know, didn't Lou Elizondo talk about this before in like reference to other areas in the Middle East, Kyle? I think he mentioned it like in Egypt.
I believe he did a couple years ago.
A couple years ago, yes, absolutely. Definitely, sir. Let's go ahead and move on to see where we're going next. Okay, we're not going to play Spielberg talking about this. Next, all right, so if anyone saw the Super Bowl yesterday, myself included, little interesting piece of knowledge that came out of it. Let's get this up here. No, that's not it. Here we go. Coming to us from over at the War Zone, we have laser-guided rocket. The armed F-15 Strike Eagles make Super Bowl camo appearance. Yes, the 15Es are sitting ready to lock down drones in the Middle East. Were highlighted during the national anthem along crews to keep them flying. So if we take a look at what we're talking about here, is we've got a picture of the laser-guided missiles that they actually use for shooting down drones right there out in the front, so everybody could go ahead and see. For those who don't know, who won the Super Bowl? Well, that'd be the Seattle Seahawks. They had a killer defense, probably some of the best that's out there these days, my friends. So, yeah, the Seahawks freaking killed it, absolutely. The Patriots would have had a chance if they would have switched out their quarterback in the first quarter. But they kept with the guy, and they got him there, hopefully, and, yeah, boy. The rest is history, my friends. Let's get back into this to see where I'm going to next. Getting back to X and everything that's going on. No. Get back to bookmarks again. Here we go. Not that one. Not that one. All right. Coming to us from the UAP summit that just happened this weekend, Ryan Graves brings out an interesting piece talking about a black triangle that came within 200 feet of a loaded 737. This just happened recently, my friends. Let's go ahead and bring this up. This little clip coming to us from the UAP summit, actually promoted from their own actual Twitter account. So let's go ahead and play this for our audience. All right, folks, let me bring it. Actually, you know what? Let me bring it down here. Bring it across. Bring it up. All right, coming to us from the UAP summit. Let's play it.
This was a commercial pilot. Both him and his co-pilot saw off their nose a very large black triangle. And within about 5 seconds, had flown directly over the fully loaded 737 within 200 feet. The air crew reported out to air traffic control to see if there was any other indications of the object. There were none. Additionally, their TCAS system also did not show anything at all. For all intents and purposes, they had seen something with their eyes which could not be corroborated by any of their sensor systems, internally or externally, to their aircraft.
So again, this just happened recently. This is a 2026 UAP detection event. Jay, are you familiar? Have you heard about this one?
I have not heard about this one.
Yeah. Interesting to say the least. So not that often we hear about black triangle situations going on, but I guess it's still happening. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Definitely has been with the black triangles, but seems they're making a comeback.
Yeah, seems to be that way. Absolutely, my friend. Let me go ahead and get this, move on to the next one. Let's see if UAP Summit has. I think they've got the one clip of Ryan Graves. Thought they had another clip on here that I had. All right. No, that's not it. I'll just get back to interview. Where was I at? Guest. Let me go ahead. I've got other ones here that I've already got bookmarked for us to go ahead and talk about. All right. So There's been talk again coming from Representative Tim Burchett. Get this up here. All right, coming from Space and Technology. This is all over X again today. It seems it may be a repeat of old news, but it's just something that's out there. Actually, not really. Congressman Tim Burchett says that aliens could be stationed or 5 or 6 bases of UFOs off the U.S. coast. I think they're probably talking here both the West Coast and the East Coast and potentially up by Alaska. AJ?
Yes, definitely. There's also the one by California, off the Californian coast, that they believe is there. Not too far away from, I forget the name of that island, but there's an island out there.
There's Island of Guadalupe, and there's also what do you call it? Isle de Cedros. Both of them have stuff around it.
It's like between them, isn't it? It's like that shelf that comes off of California.
Well, that one is down by Malibu. No, not by Malibu. That one's
Malibu.
down south to the north. Not Malibu. Is it? Oh God.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Though the one there's one off California.
It's down by Santa Monica, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or a little bit further south of Santa Monica. Catalina. Well, you've got Catalina as an island. And Catalina's island is along the coast, and there's a trench that goes down, but this is further south of that. And I know I could go to...
Well, I think it is Catalina Island, actually.
No, it's not. Let me go to... All right, so here's Santa Monica. I believe the one that used to be around here they've taken it out in the recent maps. I think it used to be somewhere over here by Seal Beach.
Okay.
Which is to the south and east of Long Beach, California. Unless it was further north. No, I think it was up in this area for what's going on right around here. Yeah, in the Pacific. He said the Sycamore Knoll.
Yeah, right. There's plenty of bases though that the Navy is actually, they're on top of it. If you find like a large Navy presence or a large base of a Navy base, that's probably why they're there.
Oh gosh, yeah. And if we go down near over here we go. Plus, then we have all this stuff down over here near Isle de Guadalupe. This is Isle de Cedros, next to Isle de Natividad. This is another area where there are giant structures. These are over a mile wide, to a couple miles wide. Giant structures that intersect at 45-degree angles, at 90-degree angles. These things are huge.
Wow. Yeah, they really are huge.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, let's get back to my X feed at this point. Where am I at? There we go. Perfect. All right, let me get back to my feed as far as where I was at over on X. Okay, got that one. Don't need that one. All right. Just a reminder, we were talking a little bit ago about Skywatcher. Let me go ahead and get this next piece up here, Jay. You may be able to add some more onto this one again. Guest, full, desktop Thomas. All right, let's get into this. Coming to us from Overclassified over on X. Almost. A year ago. Can't realize it was almost a year ago. A year ago, Jake Barber burst onto the UFO scene with claims of psionic summoning, Skywatcher calling UAPs egg-shaped recoveries, and psychic dogfights. Since then, crickets, zero verifiable evidence, no landings, no breakthroughs, just another hype cycle that fizzled. Now, wasn't Gary Nolan on yesterday talking they may have caused a couple craft to potentially crash, but they actually didn't go in and recover anything? I believe so. That was one of the things. So anyway, Skywatcher was supposed to have evidence out and promised evidence out within a year to go ahead and prove with beyond a shadow of a doubt that UFOs are real, that they have the ability to go ahead and summon these craft and bring them down for a landing. Well, it's been a year. The evidence is still out there somewhere.
Yeah, and I believe Jordan Jozak, he came out also from the Skywatcher team saying that he was a psionic asset at birth.
Right. Now, we were talking earlier today, was it during the show or earlier, we were talking about the dog whistle that they have. That one of the things that seemed interesting is they had this technology for going and summoning UAP, but then out of nowhere, the guy who had the technology took his chips and went home, left them stranded, which kind of shut the thing down for a little bit. Any idea what happened to that, Jay?
He was looking at dollar signs, and I mean, he had his family to take care of at the time. Who knows what could have happened in that time frame? But I do know that in the end, they put him under an NDA. They took the technology away, and that's that. And now he's using that technology for another purpose that he's not saying why, but it's for another corporation.
Now, is he doing this for the federal government? Because if so, Eric Burlison did let out over the weekend that the full domain for handling any interactions with the non-human intelligence over the United States in the areas outside of military bases between our borders, all of that domain has been given to the DoD.
See, you would think that they would do that, but what he said is that he is under a contract with he's under a DoD contract with a civilian company. So he's shielded. You know, this guy is shielded from anybody looking into him because he's at a civilian company.
Civilian company, not subject to FOIA requests. Right? Contractors, so nothing that they have can be subject to FOIA requests, or what they're doing can be subject to FOIA requests.
Or who knows, maybe he's working for Department of Energy, and that would supersede all the secrecy acts and everything.
That would lock it up even more.
Yeah.
Now, God, I saw one thing in one of my bookmarks. We're talking about some people were on X were talking about where this is all locked up and how the DoD has it, and that, you know, the primary interest for the government, Jay, is not the craft itself; it's the energy source.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
And if that's the case, all the work for the energy source, none of that is going to be given out to any external contracting company. All of that is going to be conducted just like the Manhattan experiment at our national laboratories around the United States.
Yeah, and I tried to say that during my video as well when I came out with it, that it doesn't matter. They can promise everything in the world, but in reality, what can they show? And that's not anything because of the fact that it would fall under the National Secrecies Act for under the Department of Energy, where even Bob Lazar got served papers twice for eminent domain. They actually took over his property with eminent domain. They searched his property for illegal substances, and then they gave his property back to him. Like, they can take over a property if they want and just search it for no reason. Like, for whatever reason they can put onto it. You know, he worked at this lab. He might have came out with something, so they searched it. You don't think that if you call down a UFO that's not like a DOD or Department of Energy is going to like classify that immediately?
That's crazy. They're actually getting to the point of, well, you know what? I guess we could say, does it really come? Are we surprised that our federal government would be doing that? Not really.
That's what it was. It was a subsection under Department of Energy saying weapon of mass destruction is also in there too. So if you don't think a UFO is a weapon of mass destruction, well, yeah, that's funny.
Because it really is. Considering the power, if they were to take that energy and take the technology and leverage it specifically for weapons, it's unstoppable.
Exactly. And that's why, like, the Department of Energy would swoop in. Like, Jake Barber would be there. He'd be like, oh, we're going to show it to the world. Then all their cameras go dead because Department of Energy comes in and says, nope, classified, our UFO.
That's what they do, though, isn't it?
It happens all the time. You see all these major inventions that come out during the years, like the water-driven car. You know, oh, you can just fill it up with water and drive it. Where's that guy now? In the ground somewhere.
Oh God.
Like, I don't know. Like, these guys disappear. Like, you had what you have in the World Fair? You had this guy with a levitating scooter thing or something, and that was the G engines are coming. And that was in the first World Fair. And where did that go? Nowhere.
Does it ever?
No. They find out that they have beaten some kind of point to where you're going to get a lot of energy for nothing, and they can't have it out there. It's like Nikola Tesla got told, you know, if it doesn't have a meter, we don't want it.
Right. Now, shifting news a little bit on this, Representative Burlison came out on Saturday and announced that he has had ability to go ahead and get access to a bunch of classified military sites like AREA51 to go ahead and look for the UFO program. It sounds great on the surface that they're getting me access to these particular sites, but it seems that maybe these sites of, as far as he may be looking for, what was there isn't there anymore.
It's almost laughable, because the minute a site gets compromised, they're already moving stuff out the door.
Yeah.
You always have a backup plan when you go to these sites, even with military. They'd have contingency plans for this, like if information gets leaked on location, where they would take the components to the next location.
Right. So here we go, coming to us from UAP Reporting Center. I actually watched this early on Saturday morning. Burlison says he's been cleared to access classified locations, including places like Area 51, as part of a probe into UFOs. Much of the UAP-related material may no longer be at government facilities, having been shifted elsewhere. Will anything be found? But it comes down to it, Jay. Burlison has David Grush working for him, right?
Yep, and there's a great poll for you, Thomas. Is anything going to be found?
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah, will anything be found from this? Honestly, what is this doing for us to get us closer to UFO disclosure by him going to these locations that he's never going to be able to talk about?
All right. Simple enough. Let's go ahead and get a survey up for our audience. Okay, friends. Okay. Nope. Can't do this yet. Turn off your microphone.
The mic's back on.
All right. Daryl. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
All right. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Starting now.
All right, here we go. Let's see where our audience is going to take it. Jay, where do you think the audience is saying? Look at this. 79% of our audience right now is saying that nothing here. Move on. Daryl, this is like the other day where we had an 80-20 before. We're back here again.
The opposite split.
We like the 80-20.
Yeah. I had no idea we'd be hitting here again. My goodness.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We got 49 seconds left, audience, with just 50 votes in. Tell us what you think. But, this is like watching the Super Bowl yesterday. We're at 79-21 with 38 seconds left to go. I don't think that we're going to be able to swing this audience any more towards something will be found. But they've been talking about doing field hearings and everything going on for years. And when Burchette and Luna were in this conversation, even with Matt Gaetz, they weren't talking about going to frickin' Area 51. Didn't they say they're going to go to Roswell too? I believe they did.
Did they say that?
They did. They said that was one of the destinations they wanted to go to was Roswell. Yeah, well, there's our timer is up for 1 minute and 30 seconds, folks. Let me go ahead and bring this down. Take a screenshot for posterity. What? It shows you just a couple seconds. Well, it shows you how far behind YouTube is. And actually, I do use the quickest time with the shortest latency to be able to make the show more real time. All right, final audience. The final answer was poll completed with 66 votes in. Final answer was 70% of our audience thinks that, well, Burlison's not going to find anything. And audience, I have to go ahead with you. You made the choice. You set the direction, what we think here at Disclosure tonight. All right, let's get back into the guest again. Look what I've got coming up here for... All right, this is a classic piece coming to us from NBC Live Prime with Lindsay Davis. It's a dude. So the director of the Pentagon's office, AARO, John T. Kozlowski, said he's been unable to corroborate allegations of classified UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs, at least the ones but he might not be aware. Let's hear this little clip and get feeling a little bit better because we can't believe them anymore anyway. Here we go.
Can you say categorically that there is no intact spacecraft or part of a spacecraft that the U.S. government is holding?
I have not been able to corroborate any of those claims.
Is it possible there's a secret program here that you just don't know about?
Anything's possible.
Okay. Look at this. No emotion, not anything. I'm not to corroborate any of these claims. One more time. Where it is. I've got to fix these. There we go.
I have not been able to corroborate any of those claims.
Okay, but maybe it's not a spaceship. Maybe it's not aliens. Maybe it's not extraterrestrials. Maybe it's a non-human intelligence coming from another dimension. But Daryl, if you give them specifics, calling one thing out, he's still denying it. However, it's like Susan Goff always talks about these things and claims that they are, oh, can I do that? Can I do that? Oh, yeah, I can. There we go. That's why we're getting the answer we're getting.
Of those claims. I have not been able to corroborate any of those claims.
Is it possible there's a secret program here that you just don't know about?
Anything's possible.
Can you say categorically that there is no intact?
Oh, God, yeah, I got to bring back our dear Susan Goff. My goodness.
What would Mike say if he were here? Let me think.
Son of a bitch, a fucking what do you call it? Erection killer. Not that she'd be getting an erection during Disclosure tonight, but dun dun dun.
Behind these walls.
Yeah, the walls have ears.
And other things, apparently.
Apparently so. No. Interview, BG. No, that's not it. Where's interview guest at? God damn it. I got to clean this mess up. My goodness, it's getting out of control. All right, this is the future I don't want to be a part of. Oh, God, let's just hope it doesn't go here, please. Let's just really hope it doesn't go here, please. Let's get into it. Coming from Daniel Dugway. I am Team Stephen Greer. Team Elizondo seems to be just the government trying to lie to us while they make money. What do you think this schmuck is doing? They have technology. Oh, I'm not going to play this all. We know nothing about.
Between the late 1800s and 1929, there were a number of breakthroughs that ended up being suppressed. The so-called Foo Fighters. Yes, it's a famous rock group. However, the Foo Fighters event, those events led to, as Philip Corso describes, a reverse engineering program. At 54, October of that year, we have not needed anti-gravity and consciousness. And we have discovered that there is a nexus. However, you need to understand that the technologies that we have, and we're on at the dry lake bed where the lawn and the airspace above it is classified, are several different species of extraterrestrial by 26 miles in diameter. Contract with my project to bring these energy devices out, GAP, the so-called Alice Springs facility, that we have tracked extraterrestrial vehicles, Stone Arsenal, and the Marshall devices out, and he was then threatened by a former CIA director.
All right. Let's hope it doesn't go here, Daryl.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hope.
But honestly, Lou has a book out there. Every appearance that he's done, unlike some people, he doesn't charge for. Yes, he has had speeches that but he charges like $50 a head to get in, not like $5,000 to come hang out for dinner and $10,000 for a walk down by the woods.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an entire industry built around his...
Yeah, so they try to say Lou is grifting, but he's not. Oh, let's have some fun with it.
What the girl over his left shoulder.
Monica Lewinsky?
It looks like somebody, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of getting distracted by the orange mop behind her, but I mean...
That's Carrot Top. And right behind me, who's the governor of California?
Oh my God! The orange hair looks like Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah,
orange.
Almost looks like Alan Levine right there.
No,
can't be.
Adam Levine.
Alan Levine.
Oh.
Not Adam Levine. Oh wait a minute. We got. No, it's just him talking. All right. Danny Sheehan. All right, let's see what else we've got going on here. Well, here we go. Coming from New Paradigm Institute at the National Press Club during an event convened by James Fox and Eric Burlison. Let's play this little clip coming to us from Danny Sheehan. Let's see where it takes us, folks. Let me get this to here, and we got a person who came in. Let's get to it and play this clip coming to us from New Paradigm. What was that, Daryl?
That was Nick who came in.
I'm ready for Nick. Do you have a question that doesn't align to anything we're talking about right now? Well, he just sent us something. We will check that out in a second, Nick. I appreciate it. We love you, though, Nick. Honestly,
always love.
Well, it's back. Yes. It's failed 3 times, Daryl, but it's all they have. It's the one trick pony that never makes it around the track once. Yeah. And they're going to put this old hag up for another 4th run.
Oh, well. Hey, there is somebody that's wanting in the back. I don't know if you can see that name, but I've never seen it before.
Oh, yeah. Deny.
I don't like your name.
Oh, no. I have a feeling it has something to do with a PSYOP Anaheim guy.
Is this the Karnak, the magnificent, I guess?
Oh, God. Karnak the Magnificent. All right. I can do that. One second. We'll get into you 1 second. I am on a roll here. Nick, we'll get to you. Hold on. I just got a question for the great Karnak, and I do have something for that one today. Let's see if we can get here. Daryl, you're there. Oh. Come on, it's here. I know I showed it before the fucking show. Where the hell did it go? Ah, here we go. The statement is, when the insurance company wants a diagram of the accident. When the insurance company wants a diagram of the accident. Yep, and you didn't swerve, because if you say you swerved when you're trying to get away from hitting a deer, they actually drop your coverage. They say it's not covered.
What?
Because they think swerving, you could have swerved into the way of the actual animal.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a Karnak moment for the day.
That's a really good Karnak moment. And I just had a discussion with somebody about this tonight. There's a lot of deer. People hit a lot of deer up here.
Yes.
In Indiana, lower Michigan. And it's supposed to be not an act of God, but no fault.
Yes.
But you're saying if you swerve, it's your fault.
Copy link address. Yes. Let me close that down here really quick. All right. So, yeah, no fault. All right. Where in the hell was I? All right. So we did get a Nick drop in the back. He gave us something that's out there. Let's see what this post is. All right. Hey, you know what? If you have problems with your eyes, look away. So this is coming from... Okay. The architecture of a cover-up. Dan Farah on the organizational structure of the hidden UFO program. Key entities, CDIA, DOE, and USAF, and defense contractors. CIA can pull abilities from other agencies without involving their chain of command. So what I'm going to do is...
That's Jack Osborne. I was going to say, I knew that face.
I'm going to take a screenshot, and we'll put up the screenshot, because if I play the whole fucking video, we're going to get freaking stalled again. So, on that note, let's play it. Go ahead and listen to this only and see how screwed we will be. Here we go.
I mean, what I've learned is that the recovery teams that are used are so well organized and so empowered, they can really quickly get to a crash site.
Yeah.
They can secure it through any means necessary. And then they can not only classify the mission immediately, but anything they recovered, the fact that the mission even happened, they can classify it.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people, I think, when more of this comes out, will find very hard to wrap their heads around is that, you know, not only do those recovery teams have the ability to classify everything, but that they did on the mission or they covered on the mission, but they don't even have to, in most cases, tell their superiors.
Mm-hmm.
So, if a special forces team is used by an element of the legacy program to do recovery, the people in that special forces team's normal chain of command might not even be aware of it.
Yeah.
I've seen some confusion out there in the public where people, you know, they look at the breakdown of the legacy program in the film as the interview subjects reveal. They reveal that the primary players in the legacy program are elements of the CIA, elements of the Air Force, elements of the Department of Energy, and major defense contractors. And I think there's been some confusion in the public where people see that and they say, oh, well, some of these recoveries happen in the ocean. Doesn't that mean that, you know, Navy SEALs or some elements of the Navy have gotten involved with this? And the answer is yes, they have, but they can still be run not by the Navy. You know, the CIA can use, you know, Navy SEALs to run a mission, and those Navy SEALs don't have to tell the Navy chain of command about it.
Yeah.
The CIA could use Delta Force. Like there's numerous special operation teams that can be utilized by the CIA and the DOE. You know, in the film where it breaks down, you know, there's an actual chart, an org chart on screen. You know, that's not something like I just decided this is what I think it is, right? And I made this up, and it's not something that like one person I interviewed made up. That was the takeaway from me interviewing more than the 34 people on screen and talking to at least 50 very senior members of the intelligence community, the government, and the military who were advising me on the side. That was the result of every one of those people off the record saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
People who are not friends, people who have different ideologies, different political beliefs. There was not a single person I spoke to who said there was any other key player in the legacy program.
Yeah.
It was like that. Those are the players. This is what they do. This is how they use the other organizations, right? Yes, they can pull abilities from other intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
Like there's 16 or 19 intelligence agencies. Like they can pull tools from them and resources from them. If they need like a satellite view, they can go get it from a different agency. But it doesn't mean those agencies are involved or making decisions or aware of it. They might not even be told why they need that satellite view, you know?
So there we go. People who are getting pulled into this, Nick, they can't even tell their bosses what they've been off and what they've been up to. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true, Axe Thomas. It's pretty weird that no one knows what's going on except certain people inside the CIA, which we kind of already knew for years that was the case.
Yeah, interesting. I appreciate you you sharing that along. Any thoughts from anyone in the back? Crickets.
Sure.
Well, interesting though, Nick. You know, I found a way to go ahead and bring something you brought live. You know what? I just have to go ahead and keep on trying and find different ways to get there because, you know what? Eventually we'll find the right way to not piss off the copyright gods out there. Because, you know, they go, my goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you know that that video wasn't playing? You could hear it, but it wasn't moving.
I know. I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay.
I had to keep on flipping back and forth between different frames that I was taking of screenshots, like I did when we covered, what was that? Yeah, one of the movies lately. Yeah, the latest one from Dan Farah. I took like 3,000 screenshots.
Made a slideshow.
Well, yeah, I had all the words up. Well, yeah, screenshot slideshow. Exactly, my friend. All right, where are we at? We've got a video out here. If I can go ahead and find where this is at. Reveal and Finder. I've got a video that we haven't finished from the other day yet. This is the disaster cycle, the evidence. And I think I finished right around 45 minutes into this thing. Come on. It was a black screen. I know we saw that. We saw that. Saw that. Damn it. All right. We're 42 minutes in. All right. Where we left off, watching the latest, the disaster cycle, the evidence. This is talking about the massive event that the Earth is coming up into right now, friends. Yes, that's where the Earth itself is going through a magnetic field change. Everything is accelerating, going much faster than what they thought it was going to be. This is talking about not just the event of what's be coming our way, but this gets into some of the deep evidence, and this is the really good stuff that I think you guys will go ahead and enjoy. So let's go ahead and get this clip up and get it playing and talk about it as we play. Here we go.
The reason for this solar system cyclic magnetic shift is our interaction with and taking of the galactic magnetic reversal from the galactic current sheet. And while the impact of this galactic current sheet is this magnetic pole shift or this intrinsic magnetic change of all of...
Really quick, for those who missed the last episode when we covered this, and get into here. The galactic magnetic current sheet. Where am I at? I am at. He'll be showing it shortly. If you have the center of our galaxy, right? I guess we could call this the center of our galaxy. Our planet is out here somewhere. Extending out from the center of the galaxy, you have a magnetic field that extends out like a plate out from where it's at. But the further it gets away, the bigger the waviness that goes through it. And every 6,000 years or so, our planet is getting played by this magnetic galactic current sheet that's impacting our planet, that causes massive floods on our planet. It gives us a destabilized climate every 6,000 years, and it results in a geomagnetic excursion. That's where the North Pole and the South Pole start to race towards each other, and it all hell breaks loose. So let's place more on this. As you heard that term, the galactic current sheet, that's what he's talking about. It's the magnetic field that comes out of the black hole. It's the center of the Milky Way galaxy that extends out as a plane that our planet passes through. And when our whole solar system passes through it, we see massive changes on all the planets. Now, right now, there have been major changes happening in the atmospheres, in the overall observed planets and what's going on in their signatures, their fields, and 8 out of 9 planets surrounding our sun, Earth included. So this isn't dooming. This is talking about what's potentially coming our way and just keeping your mind open to it and not sticking your head in the ground like an ostrich. Here we go.
The objects that are taking the galactic magnetic reversal, what it does to the sun is most important, because it will start to dim. The sun will turn red, and then the sun will turn black as electrical activity on the surface of the sun begins to shut down, and that dust and other material accumulates more and more in the sun's atmosphere. But we don't spend too much time in the reversal state, and then the electrical activity clicks back on as we enter the other half of the galactic magnetic fields, reigniting all of those solar processes and blasting off that outer shell of dust and plasma like a snake violently shedding off its skin. This is the solar micronova, and this is what punctuates, what caps off the zenith of Earth's disaster cycle. At least the beginning of the zenith of Earth's disaster cycle. In terms of the evidence for it, we begin, of course, with the geologic evidence. And this was largely brought to us in the way that we see it now by Doug Vogt. He is the individual, now deceased, may he rest in peace, who went back to all of those 110-year-old papers in Science, in Nature, and tracked the science up through the 30s, 40s, and even 50s, showing that of all of the isotopes and all of the material you find on Earth, there's a couple that really just don't make a lot of sense unless you start thinking in a different way. They are nova-level isotopes with short half-lives. What does that mean? That means that lightning strike, meteor strike, volcano eruption, you're not making this isotope of an atom any way other than a star explosion. You need a nova or you're never getting this isotope. It can't come from anywhere else. The short half-life means if this had happened long, long ago, it would be gone. We wouldn't see it. So this can't be that old. This isotope, which was required to be made in a star explosion, can't be that old. And so when those specific nova isotopes, we're not talking about some of the aluminum isotopes, we're certainly not talking about iron 60 at the bottom of the ocean. That may have been here 50, 60, 80 million years. But when those really short-lived isotopes are preferentially found in the fossil bones, in the petrified wood, in the black glass that is also in these disaster layers where the magnetite reverses, showing we had the magnetic pole flipped, where all the dying takes place, where all the climatological issues take place. the extra fossils, the weird climate stuff, the magnetism changing. That's also the layers where we find those short half-life nova-level isotopes, which basically would suggest that it is part of this cycle as well, which would be one of the only ways you could actually explain all of the ancient stories and even the religious stories fearing the sun, the red sun, the black sun. This doesn't make sense, and we're not going to go for eclipses on this. They specifically talk about what eclipses were, and they could predict eclipses. They weren't afraid of eclipses for the most part. They were terrified of something else from the sun. But when it comes to this really old geologic data where you're looking at microscopic stuff, or you're trying to interpret what was going through the mind of a human, of an early human several thousand years ago, it can only get you so far. So let's come to the present and say, okay, well, could the sun have a micronova? Maybe. Could these isotopes have come from somewhere else, from another star? And this is where mainstream science is still holding strong. This is the hill they're going to die on. Because they say this stuff is either left over from when the solar system was created, or it's coming from other stars. Other stars are just going boom, and we're taking that material. The problem is, some of these isotopes would be gone if they were here from before the solar system was created, right? So that one's off the table. So could it be coming from other stars? They're sending out these blasts. How are they being concentrated in the disaster layers? How would a faraway nova cause a magnetic pole shift? And how would all of these different stars be going off at the right times to make such a perfect cycle here on Earth? And while the light, it gets here, the closest star to us is Proxima Centauri. Light takes 4 years to go back and forth. If Proxima Centauri exploded, it'd be millions of years before the particles got here. So all these stars are going off. Their particles are taking millions of years to get here, somehow not having their half-lives expire, and they're arriving in the exact perfect times as Earth's magnetic pole shift and the disaster cycles. Or the sun is part of it as well, and the sun has a recurrent disaster cycle. Then, of course, we've got the magnetic imprisonment of dusty pinballs by a supernova remnant, where they found that the dust to which these isotopes clings can't actually get out of the remnant. Think about all the supernova remnants you've ever seen a picture of. Do they look like they're slowly dissipating into space, or do they look like there's a confined and well-defined shape to them? Those isotopes couldn't have come from another star. They're trapped in the supernova remnant. These isotopes here on Earth, they came from the sun. Which should have been obvious given the fact that they're only found in these disaster layers, and that's not possible to happen if it's coming from anywhere else. The timing is too perfect. It would take too long. Magnetically, they can't get out of the supernova remnant anyway. The only answer left is the sun. So how do you create a recurring nova event? Because this would not be a supernova, and I know most people think supernova, death of the star, when they hear the word nova. More than 99% of nova events are not supernova events. Puffs or pops in all directions, like a miniature version. And then they can do it again, a recurrent nova. That's the vast majority of them. And how do they happen? They know two ways. One is a magnetic kick. Some refer to this as the black hole trigger. They are noticing increased nova events on stars that go too close to the galactic center, what they call a supermassive black hole, taking the magnetic kick or magnetic impact from that and triggering a nova event. The much more common, much longer understood, would be accretion, material aggregation. Their favorite version of this is when you have a star that is sucking material off of another star, and it's basically like it's getting peppered, and then it sneezes. might be a good way to put it. Now, what's actually happening is this material is coming, it's blocking energy pathways out, kind of like you put your hand over the vent. Eventually, you're going to get a buildup of pressure underneath that vent kind of thing. But they have seen stars that don't have a degenerate binary. They've seen stars wander into dark, molecular, dusty clouds and start sneezing. And so the vast majority of it is a binary system sucking material. But in general, you have this accretion. If you can dump material onto a star or give it a magnetic kick, there's a good chance it's going to have a nova event. Dump material onto the star or give it a powerful magnetic kick. Like the galactic magnetic reversal, bringing in all of the galactic space garbage. That's both nova mechanisms delivered together at the exact same time in the only way that would actually explain this bigger picture we are talking about right now. I'm not going to say maybe that's a coincidence, because at this point you'd have to be insane to believe that. So let me just go ahead and keep stacking up the things that aren't coincidences, if I may. So there's been a problem with the galactic current sheet in galactic physics. That wavy rippling thing, it's supposed to stop about halfway through. The math says that this wave-like Parker instability should be suppressed. However, they observe it going out past the visible stars. It's not stopped halfway through the galaxy. It goes out past where most visual eyes would say the galaxy stops. And here they finally figured out how. This was at the APS Physics Conference in Pittsburgh, 2021. If you can introduce nova energy directly into this sheet, it can sustain its magnetic buoyancy and the wave can keep going. The only way to fix galactic physics is by having that sheet trigger nova events while it passes. The only way you're going to explain the geologic evidence of where these things came from and how they got in these layers of disaster. The only way you're going to explain why these people who could build pyramids were scared of the sun. Both ways to trigger a nova come at the exact same time via the thing that can explain what's happening throughout the solar system. The only thing that can explain what's happening throughout the solar system, the thing that we know exists, that they've characterized. They know how tall the waves are in the Milky Way. And it just so happens it triggering the solar micronova not only explains the geology, the ancient stories, it not only makes sense with both nova triggers coming at the exact same time from the thing that explains what's happening in the solar system shift, but it's the only thing that fixes galactic physics. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Now, let's go into some of the dissent and counter arguments to what I've just presented. They say a micronova can only happen on a white dwarf star that is sucking from a degenerate binary. And to that I say, they don't know nova. And I've been saying that for several years. Forget about the fact that micronova were officially discovered in 2022, and now they want to tell us, here are all the rules. When I was being called crazy for talking about micronova in 2019. So let's go back to 2019. There are 10 to 15 major classes and subclasses of nova and supernova events. You can see the list of a bunch of them down below. That's in well over a century of astronomy, built on several centuries of what you'd call uncivilized astronomy. Hundreds of years, we've got 10 to 15 different kinds of nova. Well, we've got about 10 more types now. In 7 years, they've discovered 10 more. And they've discovered...
Yeah, they have. Brian, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I would say, have we been able to create our own micronovas through thermonuclear explosions?
Oh, hell no. A micronova is when you're basically getting a bunch of material coming onto the sun itself, right? cooling it down, and it sheds its skin like a snake shedding its skin, or like a crab, getting rid of its actual shell that goes around it, and all that material comes ejecting out towards the planets.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be surprised if we can even make smaller ones.
We could go ahead, and we're trying to get fusion together on the planet, but being able to go from fusion from there to try, if we were to do a micronova in the fusion reactor, the reactor will blow up. Because you have the fusion reaction that's going, you're getting something that's cooling on the outside of it, and then it goes to shed it and expand out and blow out of it. The last thing you'd want to have on a fusion reactor is any kind of CME.
Unless you can contain the reaction.
Then that wouldn't be a CME then. You wouldn't have sunspots that cause this stuff. Completely different kinds of tech. One, we're trying to get the reaction that's going on in the center of the sun versus understanding what's going on the outside of the sun and the dynamics that happen.
Sure, understand. But I do want to express to the audience that fusion is real, obviously.
Yeah, fusion's absolutely real, yeah. 5 years ago, they were saying what Ben was talking about, having a micronova. People said he was crazy. There is no such thing as micronovas. They were saying about the stuff that he was saying about what's going on with the Atlantic median overturn circulation, which is the circulation of air, of water, going all the way down from South America, around up through Central America, through the Gulf of America, down around Florida, and then up into near Greenland. It's impossible for that to shut down. It's never going to happen. But the shutdown of the current is going on, and we're actually starting to see shutdowns now of the current that are circling even Antarctica. Daryl.
Yeah, I appreciate the channel, Tom. But I think the magnetic reversal is happening.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I think that this is a very
But it's accelerating in ways that we never anticipated for. So something we thought that was going to happen in 2040, 2050 could come a lot sooner.
Yep. I'm sorry, Darryl, go ahead.
I was just wondering, Thomas, if you could explain what a degenerate binary is.
Oh, degenerate binary is when you have two suns that are binary. They're moving along, and you have one of them's collapsing more than the other, and it's pulling the energy away from the other. One is degenerating, I believe, from the other, if that makes sense. So you have one of a binary system. One is larger, one is smaller, and it pulls the stuff from the one binary star over to the one that's larger, basically stripping away what's in that secondary star.
That's called sucking the degenerate binary. Is that correct?
I guess if I was a hooker in a star-sized configuration, yes.
No, he said it there. He said it's something about sucking a degenerate binary. So I was just trying to put it together.
He's going through a midlife crisis. His wife decided to go ahead with a woke guy and from Denver, and he decided to go ahead and start working out and find himself and everything else. So he's going through the rediscovery of himself in his mid to later 40s. Good for him.
Yeah, he'll probably have a great time.
He is. That's why he even created a secondary account on X so he could talk about all of his degenerate binaries, especially those from Denver.
Driving supernovas.
No, but I think he actually laughs about the degenerate non-binaries from Denver with blue hair.
I can fully imagine it must be just funny as hell talking to this guy about
all God. He's a hoot. I've been watching Ben Davidson for well over 12 years. Since 2012, which would make it, 14 years.
Oh.
Yeah. Here we go.
I've only followed a few people that long, so.
Him and actually Dutch Sense. The guy who predicts earthquakes. Everyone says he's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he fucking predicts earthquakes where they're going to happen. He looks at the pattern, sees it. It's like, okay, between here and here, we're going to be getting this one go on and this one go on, and it's going to happen within the next 15 days. And it happens time and time again. A lot of people go ahead and take these people like Ben Davidson, right? And they throw him under the bus. Oh, let's debunk him. Let's find traditional science people like Enoch to go ahead and say what he's saying, it doesn't make any sense. No, if you listen to the big picture of where he's going, what they're discussing, he is on target and challenging traditional scientists, which I absolutely love, because he's not just going against scientists, he's going after scientism, historism, all these people that basically take what they have and their knowledge and understanding and make it like a fucking religion. Where how dare you go ahead and say go against this principle from this fucktard who died 120 years ago? Well, if we come up with new information and it's compelling, it can get us here, like the geological record and a bunch of stuff, we should embrace it, saying, wow, were we fucking stupid back then or what, right?
Right. Is Dutch and Sense still doing his nightly thing, or is he tapered that off?
Who, him?
Dutch and Sense?
No, he's still doing it. He loses it sometimes and gets discouraged, but he always comes back.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
If I could make one more comment real quick before you proceed, Thomas. There's a bill coming up in the House to amend the
UAP Disclosure Act?
The Department of Energy Organization Act, excuse me. And they're basically classifying anything that's energy. So they're rewording it to where it's not just oil or anything. It's anything that's considered energy is going to fall under it. So I wonder if this is a precursor to disclosure, or if they're just trying to get their grubby little hands around things.
Good luck on getting anything out of the DOE. It's been locked up since 1952, and we had the the Atomic Energy Act, when they locked everything away and basically made Q clearance and no one can get access to it. That's why everything, including the research for the energy systems on these interdimensional craft that they find, all goes to the DOE, because nobody can get it the fuck out of there. You can't even, the only way you can get a FOIA request approved out of the DOE, Brian, is to have a signature from the president, the head of the CIA, and the head of the DOE. And that's the only way you can get a simple FOIA request out of the DOE. Otherwise, everything is locked down. But if I could, I want to go ahead and continue on this, and we'll get back to the conversation shortly.
5 other nova events that aren't new classes, but they're on stars that weren't supposed to have them. Or they're in stellar scenarios where they were not supposed to take place, which technically counts as a new kind of nova they haven't seen before. The point I'm making is, every time there's new technology that is released, it is released on the heels of them telling us we have this all figured out. And then some new data comes and it turns out they don't know anything. In 2019, 2020, and 2021, they were saying I was insane. I was a pseudoscientist fringe lunatic because micronova weren't a thing. Forget about a solar micronova. Micronova's not even real. He's just making up the word. And here we are, and everybody now knows that they are real things. But beyond that, beyond the fact that they don't know nova, here are the 2 most important updates that we've had in probably a long time, and they both hit right at the end of 2025. Up top, the control of inversion of Earth's magnetic field with Rikitaki's model. Basically, it was saying that the local galactic environment is responsible for Earth's magnetic poles flipping. And
really quick here, if I can add into this for a second here, Brian or Daryl. We're talking about the big global systems that's driving climate destabilization, that's driving what's going on with the, if you want to call it, the movement of the magnetic field on our planet, the collapse of it. There's other channels out there talking about these ancient cities like Derinkuyu that are out there in the ancient record. Well, the truth of the matter is, the reason we have these ancient cities that they're getting into is because the science that we're covering on here. So one drives the other. So if you have these things going on in the sun and the planets, and this is happening, this is what humanity has to do to survive. So there's a cross-pollination going on here, folks. I love the science part of this more than anything. Let's just continue this. Here we go.
external large-scale impact upon the solar system. Which, by the way, would affect more than just the Earth. That would affect all the planets in the way that we are seeing. It would affect the sun in the way we are seeing. This would be the galactic magnetic field and a reversal triggering the magnetic reversal and solar system shift of everything here. December 2025. And while that was coming out down below, one of the first ever theses on micronova, don't forget, they didn't know they existed. Me and the people who watch this channel were the only ones who knew micronova existed for several years until they discovered them in 2022. Here we are at the end of 2025. This is one of the very first ever theses containing the best studied micronova event. By the way, now they know like dozens of them all over. And the conclusion they came to is, oh wow, these are really hard to see. We've probably missed hundreds of thousands of micronova events over time because they're just so hard to spot. But this best studied one endured a pole shift immediately before its micronova eruption. This is impossible if it is a white dwarf accreting material, dumping.
And what's going on in our solar neighborhood? Majority of the stars that surround Sol, which is our sun, have had some kind of nova event recently, which means it's heading our way.
Material will not flip its poles. Hitting the galactic magnetic reversal point will. And so we not only have the accretion and the magnetic kick delivered by the galactic current sheet, but we have the overall magnetic environment impacting it, just like it would be in Earth, top paper, the Rikitaki model. And because that is how it works, and because that is going to trigger a pole shift on the sun, then bottom paper, thesis, just like that star, the sun's internal pole shift will occur right before the solar micronova. As time goes on, the coincidences just keep stacking. But what's interesting is what happens next, because this solar energy comes down. It induces all the way to the low velocity zone where the crust meets the mantle, instantly melts that low velocity zone. And all of a sudden, the crust is no longer locked to the mantle. And this is where Euler takes over. Because on any spinning object, if there is a part that weighs more than the other, it will migrate to the equator. It will want to be at the equator as it is spinning. On Earth, that's the North Pole and South Pole ice. And so when Earth's magnetic field collapses, when the solar micronova melts the low velocity zone, and when the crust and mantle are unlocked from one another, the crust begins to shift, bringing those weight inhomogeneities, the heavy points, the ice, to the equator. This is not just a magnetic pole shift, a geologic pole shift.
Right.
Massive flooding.
Bingo, massive flooding, folks. This is where the planet goes ahead and we get those mile-high waves that wipe out 90% of the life plus on the planet.
Tsunamis hit every continent. At least half the world is probably going to die in this event. For most of you, the notion that this is beyond a magnetic shift, that the crust is actually going to turn over, is as crazy as, well, micronova sounded about 25 minutes ago. But we have all the evidence in the world that this is real too. My favorite is Major White, World in Peril, the book by his son, Ken White. For those who don't know, Major Maynard E. White led Project Nanook to the Canadian Arctic. Their goal was to develop bases, learn about navigation, prepare for Arctic battle in case Russia came over the top. Again, this was in the 1940s. And while they were learning to navigate, they had to do a lot of study on Earth's magnetic field, on the magnetic poles, compasses, navigation. And they found that the magnetic pole was moving. And as they dug down, they found that, wait a minute, beneath this layer, there's tropical fossils here. And we dig down and we're finding layer after layer after layer after layer of these cyclical repeating disasters.
Just like the Sahara used to be a lush savanna and jungle, but now it's a desert. And when it is in that state, when the Earth does decouple and it rotates out of cycle, that's what we get for a period of time. And it's cyclical on this planet. Humanity just forgets everything. What happens? You go ahead and have a major disaster. 90% of the humanity is taken out. How long is it going to take before all the knowledge? You lose the ability to write stuff down. You don't have access to any of your digital technology, nothing. How long is it going to take before we forget everything? A generation, maybe two, and all of the knowledge humanity has is gone, and this cycle has repeated itself, and we forget as humans every 6,000 years. We always think we're the first figuring it out. It's not a doomer. It's just kind of reality of the cycles of the earth, and just kind of think of it. It's like a flower that comes out and blooms and dies and rebirths. It's what happens with the sun. We could say everything's going to be fine and handy for the longest time. Brian?
Yeah, I think you're right. And Lou Elizondo refers to this too. That hey, we've been through this before. There are things here
time and time again.
We know, time and time again. Yep, and we're following the same procedure. So how do you that's why we don't see things that are 30,000 or 50,000 years old very often.
You realize, Brian, if you look back in the geological record, Brian, all of the different domesticated things with chickens and goats and cattle and everything, all the domesticated versions of those, appeared in like Turkey,
around the time of
about 11,000, 12,000 years, 11,000 years ago.
Yep.
Where did they come from?
Yes, very odd, right?
Bingo. All of a sudden they just appear out of nowhere. It's because they came from underground, from the prior civilization.
Yes, and they found a lot of those underground caves and tunnels, like the one gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, but he was literally digging a basement in his house. And
and that was in Turkey, and that's when he had rediscovered Darren Kuyu, where they can go ahead and fit 20,000 people. Right. They have ability to go ahead and grow crops underground because they have areas where light's coming in. They have full systems for bringing in fresh air and circulating it. They have communication systems built in. They had areas for going and managing all their different livestock. And they had wells and everything to keep 20,000 people alive underground. And that's just one of multiple underground cities that we found around the world.
Yeah, and I think the larger question would be, I think suspicious observers is doing a great job. Do we know when and how this is going to happen, and how can we prepare? Because I don't care what religion you are, every religion has got the flood myth.
Every single one has a flood myth going to about 6,000 years ago, Brian.
Yep, and we need to stop calling it a myth, right?
No,
it's
right.
Probably a fact if you look at what the Randall Carlson and everybody else has been doing.
Well, if you look at all the different Aboriginal tribes from around the world, all have this in their story. It's in the stories of what was going on coming from the Sumerians. From everywhere, they all talked about it.
Yeah, so perhaps the oral tradition has got a lot more to it, and I do think it does.
Yeah.
Than what science and history has given it credit for. So
exactly. All right, let's play a little bit more of this. Thanks for jumping in, Brian.
Major White kept all the classified data from the mission, from the Pentagon, from the Rand Corporation, and from the OSS meetings. Gave it to his son Ken White to publish in World in Peril. What the government, the Pentagon, their lapdog, the Rand Corporation, and the predecessor to the CIA, the OSS, concluded was that in one day, during the magnetic pole shift, Earth turns over 90 degrees, just as I have described, just as Euler physics describe a rotating body with a weight inhomogeneity wanting to come from the polar region to the equator. Beyond that, there are trees in Scandinavia, unearthed as a glacier was melting. The forest froze 13,000 years ago. The trees have no tree rings. The only place in the world where trees don't have tree rings is the equator, because tree rings are seasons, the growth and then the hibernation. It doesn't happen in the tropics. The only way you can have Scandinavian trees in northern Norway without any rings is if that area was also at the equator, just like what Major White found with those tropical fossils in the Canadian Arctic. And just think about the mammoths. We've heard about the mammoths, frozen so fast the food was left undigested in their mouths and stomachs. And we all ask the question, how do you freeze a mammoth so quickly? But I also ask what...
All right, here we go again. Talking about the mammoths, Brian, that were frozen in place with the freaking food in their mouth, frozen solid in Siberia.
And I want to bring this up for the audience. This might be a little provocative, but some of them had erections. So, yeah, this was a flash freeze. They had the blood flowing through their system, and they got frozen, basically.
And what happens is sometimes when we're hit from things from the sun, it goes around and compresses down the magnetic field and the atmosphere, where it actually brings space, the coldness of space, down to the surface of the Earth, because that the force is so great coming from the sun.
Yeah, so that's interesting because, obviously everybody knows this. The space is very cold. But if the magnetic pole shift happens, and I think what he's referring to is we've got an iron core here in the Earth. Iron is obviously...
Yeah, that's the center core of the planet, yeah. But there's also those other structures, almost have like a T-shaped kind of a base out of it. Supposedly came from another planet that interacted with Earth that caused the planet to go ahead and be from this particular orientation of north and south, as we see it, rotates it down to where it then starts to go at the equator, bringing Antarctica and Greenland at the equator. And it does that for a period of time, and then it rectifies itself. When it goes through either of those cycles, you get those giant catastrophic waves that come and wipe the surface clean.
And does that cause our atmosphere to have a break in it that allows space to come in, like you're saying?
When that goes back and forth, probably not. It's when we get the big force that hits the planet coming from the sun that actually causes the magnetic field to collapse and causes our atmosphere to compress, bringing the coldness of space down to the planet. That actually will result in stuff where you're getting the mammoths with the frozen material in their mouth, where they're chewing it and they're frozen solid in place.
Okay, so for those of us that are not scientists, it's really pushing that coldness of space through our atmosphere, basically.
It's displacing our atmosphere. So if this is our planet, we've got our atmosphere, right? It takes it, and when the force comes in, it brings the atmosphere down. It compresses the atmosphere to go around the other side of the planet and brings the coldness of space instantly down to the surface of the planet.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, it's almost like you're pushing on a bubble, and that bubble still stays intact, but it just gets pushed.
It just gets pushed around, displaces it to the other side, and then it bounces back. But when it brings it down to that side, that's what goes ahead and causes to freeze. And then after the planet goes through that particular phase, we've got these parts of the planet that are now on the poles, where we're going to get a lot more of additional snow and everything going on top of it.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and hopefully the audience understands that too. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's play a little bit more. We're getting towards the end, but here we go.
What are they eating? because they had to dig them out of 20, 30 feet of snow, ice up in the Arctic. Today, there's nothing growing there. But these animals froze in the glacial period. 10, 20 degrees colder. And you're going to tell me those things were up at the polar region eating 1,000 pounds of vegetation a day? There's nothing growing there now. They had to dig them out of 20 feet of ice. What do you think was there for them to eat when it was 10, 20 degrees colder? Unless it wasn't at the polar region, unless the planet was like this. The mammoths were eating at a comfortable latitude, and then they found themselves instantly freezing at the polar region. Outside of that, the mammoths couldn't have been there. What were they doing there? What were they eating? You could never find mammoths that were frozen in the glacial period in the polar region if that area had not been closer to the tropics before. We have the stories of the sun rising in the wrong place. We have the stories of the long night, where night seemed to last a full day and the tribe didn't think it was ever coming.
All right, really quick for the chat. I've had memories of the giant floods since I've been a young kid. It's not fear-mongering because there's nothing we can do to get away from it. Yeah, there may be places you can go move to get away from it and the whole thing, yes. It's just a reality of the cycles of the planet and what the planet goes through. And if this is the way it is, eyes open, no fear, friends, because if you know about what's coming, you shouldn't be afraid of it because you know that it's coming. If you want to say it's fear-mongering, go ahead, dig a hole, stick your head down in it, and ignore the knowledge, what's being brought forward. That doesn't mean you have to be crazy and say, oh my God, what's going to go on? I mean, based on my health and what goes on, if this shit happens, am I going to be able to escape over the Cascades? Probably not. And if that's not going to happen, I'll go on my roof of my house and go ahead and charge the wave as it comes in. What are you going to do? Not much. You take it for what it is, but at least you know, and you're not a sheep. Bah! You don't want to be a sheep. Just follow along with everybody else. You want to be a wolf. Don't be a
Thomas,
sheep.
I just put the same message in the back. I'm not trying to fearmonger. You're not.
No, we're not.
We're trying to find out more about our history. We're trying to find out more about us as a people and everything else. And I think that's a noble pursuit.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want to survive this, go live somewhere where you are over 5,000 feet of elevation, and you'll probably be safe. Just realize this stuff goes on. Things get shaken up, but over 5,000 feet of elevation, you'll be fine. Not a lot of spaces have it, but there are plenty that do. So let's continue this. Here we go.
They thought they were all going to freeze to death. All of these stories begin to actually make sense when you realize what Einstein realized. This is Einstein's foreword in Charles Hapgood's book. Einstein was 100% convinced that the Earth turns over. He just couldn't figure out.
Okay, we believe Einstein for his theory of relativity. How about this, folks?
How to make it work. The evidence was there, and it's convinced him, it convinced Hapgood, Walker, Cuvier, DeLuc, even Newton. The evidence is quite clear about what the Earth does and how the Earth does it. And so after Earth tilts, this is what we are going to look like.
Bingo.
This is if you take the Euler physics and you take the ice and you move it to the equatorial region. And it just so happens that where the magnetic poles are moving right now would end up in the new geologic north and south poles when the Earth tilts exactly like this. Here it is with both the flat and the tilt.
And I hate to say it. Where's it on here? The United States.
And it just so happens.
Does not go to... Oh, here, let me go back again. The United States does not fare well, friends. Oh, hell no. We're down like in the southern... almost there. We'll see it in a second. It'll level off. We're basically down. Way down. Like where Argentina is, the southern tip of Argentina. So we're going to get a major cooling. There we go. There's the Baja Peninsula. Alaska up here is near the equator. So, wow. Whoever thought going to Alaska could be a good thing if you're high enough up? I mean, there's the Gulf of there's Mexico. Oh, you guys can't see a chat. You're in the way. Sorry, I'm turning you off here. You zoom in. Come on. There's Mexico. There's California. There's the East Coast. So we're really down in the lower third, lower quarter or less. So it's going to be colder, less light. But where Ben Davidson is, he's going to be about right here. So at least there he'll be safe. New Valley of the Sun. Here we go.
This is if you take the Euler physics and you take the ice and you move it to the equatorial region. And it just so happens that where the magnetic poles are moving right now would end up in the new geologic north and south poles when the Earth tilts exactly like this. Here it is with both the flat and the tilted view, by the way. Now, some of you are going to be saying things like, wait a minute, isn't there published evidence that Earth has never tilted like that, that we haven't had a crustal shift? And they will mostly point to this article, one of the most cited over 500 times. And it indeed shows there was no tilt to Earth at any point. But what does it say in orange? There's a correction for this article. That one hasn't been cited 10 times, but it shows some of the pole positions on the exact opposite of the planet that they were initially reported, basically showing. So if you go and you actually read the correction article and you see how it corrects the latitude and longitude, it in fact says Earth flips periodically. And yet the entire world goes with the previous, now corrected. This erroneous article is the one cited 500 times. This is why the scientists will tell you the Earth can't do it. But if they actually include the corrected data, it says the Earth tilts. Many such examples. What about the super old ice?
All right, so let's take in consideration the Earth does tilt. Brian, could that be a good reason why the non-human intelligence is coming and interacting with humanity at this point in time?
I think that may be a good supposition.
Yeah.
The other thing with them taking the eggs and semen of men and women to try and preserve things could also be an interesting twist on that.
Yeah, but I think they've been screwing with our genetics for a while.
Well, that's why I am like I am. But I think if you do find it and the Earth tilt hypothesis, as they're putting forward, if this is real, which makes a little bit of sense to me,
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how science. The general science community.
Yeah. Look at some. Right? You've seen the big Olmec statues from South America, right?
Oh yeah, and the Easter Island ones. Yeah.
Well, no. Let's just go with the Olmec. See, heads. Let me go and find these things here. Images. Just bring this up really quick. These were all found down in Central America, right? And they're freaking huge compared to humans. Here's an example of a human standing next to one of these things. They're freaking huge. But if you look at the shape of the eyes, the shape of the nose, the shape of the face, that's either African or Asian.
Yeah, I would agree. And,
right? Next. those things were like found buried like 10, 20, 30 feet under mud. Like there was a massive mud flood that happened that had buried these things from a long time ago.
Well, so now you're going into loose territory that the Earth eats up everything and melts it down in the core and spits it back out again.
Well, no, I'm just saying the Earth shakes up every so often. Some stuff happens. We lose stuff because when everything gets wiped out, we forget everything.
Yeah, which is an absolute
It's just
shame.
humanity.
So if we want to tie this into the UFO topic, are we dealing with a species that has been here for a long time?
Humanity, yeah. We've been here for a lot longer in a lot more advanced states than our current archaeologists or archaeologisms.
Agreed.
Yeah, want to go ahead and admit.
Yeah, archaeology has been behind the eight ball for a long time. The other question would be is there another civilization that was among us? And I think that that's a legitimate possibility. And they could be from a long time ago.
Or they could be from the future. Or from another dimension.
As Michael Masters puts and some other people, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Why do these guys all have helmets on?
What's the old saying? Always put a helmet on that soldier.
Right. Well.
Based on the shape, yeah. There you go. More of them.
Maybe they're just old football players.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Every single one. Again, they're huge. And there has to be some original ones that were created, right? And then the ones that were created after that, from the original creation, are what they call cargo cult. Is where you have humanity that was going, and there were these ancient statues that looked like these, so they decided they had to go ahead and make some of them to go ahead and look like those. Like in Egypt. Do you think,
Thomas, I would argue too, in addition to African American, a lot of them look like they probably are
Polynesian?
Latin of some sort, perhaps a little bit of Polynesian.
How about Polynesian? Where there was the giant continent out there that flooded and went away?
Well, and that could have been a mix. That could have been a mix between Asian and Africans as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of my
or Asian and South American. Who knows?
Yeah, but it's not white. I mean, they are definitely doing these carvings from what they have seen. This is not anything that they're dreaming of.
It's safe to say it's human.
That's right.
Yeah. But doesn't look like European. Doesn't look like Central American, South American.
Well, the wider nose could be South American, but usually the
not South America. You know, you think people from Peru and stuff, the original population, it's still there. They don't look anything like that. That's like more either Asian or Polynesian style or African. Doesn't matter to me. It just shows they're from a different continent from a long time ago.
Exactly right. This shows, the whole Pangea theory from back in the day. You got Easter Island in the middle of nowhere.
But you know what? We could still have the continents we have now, but just 30,000 years ago, 60,000 years ago, these bastards in their cycle got to figure out and got their stuff everywhere. Maybe they populated that area. Who knows? But everything else that they created, except this shit, everything else got washed away.
Yep, I got eaten up by the earth, 100%.
Yeah.
So we obviously have a cross system between continents as we know in the day, that things have been passed back and forth. Whether the continents were together back in the day, we don't know. But we obviously had an advanced civilization where people were either able to travel and exchange these ideas and these cultures, because you see one of the same things on one side of the planet and the same things on the other. So,
right. It's just tying together and just knowing that some of the dates we have out there that are quote unquote the accepted dates in archaeology are there for kind of more of a reference point, what they think. And a lot of things they can't come out and say how they know, because especially you look at this the ancient temples and stuff that they have in India, the intricacy of the temples, like Kailash Temple, built out of one giant side of a cliff and just goes straight down one piece, absolutely perfect. All these intricate statues of men and women in their temples, and it's made out of the hardest stone you have out there, and it's been created, but the stuff isn't solid, and there's like layers behind layers, and it's like we can't create that stuff today. It's well beyond our technological capabilities. But again, a lot of these old temples and stuff that they're finding, and especially in southern India, where they're still finding them today, they're buried under the ground. Layers of mud that, when do you get layers of mud? When you had a huge inundation of water, right?
And through LIDAR and other processes,
yeah,
Thomas, you're exactly right. They're finding stuff in the Amazon as well.
Everywhere. They're going with LIDAR. They're finding all these huge complexes that are like thousands of miles in size. Yeah. It's crazy. The whole thing at one time was completely inhabited. Granted, it's a lot of jungle now, but there are huge cities everywhere.
No, we live in a fascinating time. And I think if the universities and science allow people to have a more open mind so that we can go and explore these things, we will be able to find out more about where we came from in our history. And I think that that's the most important part. And the fact that sometimes, medical and science and everybody else does not have an open mind, I think that that's harmful to us. We need to have an open mind. We need to go explore. Yeah. Let's keep exploring.
And sometimes we have to connect the dots. And as we look at what's going on with our sun and our planet and different things, we're seeing more stuff with non-human intelligence ramping up, them trying to get us to a point maybe before shit happens again. We're close.
Maybe. And look, we're not going to be right every time. I mean, I've admitted I'm wrong. I can't tell you how many times.
Oh, yeah.
But we need to keep exploring.
Brian, we're not perfect. Humans are never perfect. Doctors, have you ever met a doctor that doesn't practice medicine? Or did they say they perfect medicine?
I have had botched surgeries. That's why they say you practice medicine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right here.
I've had people
right here, buddy.
X-rays wrong. Yeah. So
and it's a one-time install. And what they're going to turn me into in Frankenstein afterwards? Fuck. But you know what? It's been a great 15 years.
Yeah. No, but I'm with you. We just need to keep exploring. We need to keep finding out things and say, okay, this is right, this is wrong. It's it's not rocket science.
So let's play a little bit more Ben Davidson. We've been having a good time talking about this. It gives us a good platform, but it sees how all these different things, ancient stuff that's happened here, ancient civilizations that were advanced, where we're at now, what's happened in the past, and what how can we learn about our future from where we've been before. So let's play this. Here we go, folks.
They say that super old ice that's 2 million years old in Antarctica or wherever, poppycock, complete hogwash. First of all, we're going with that same isotope dating that has all the problems, and all you have to do is take a look at what happened in the Tibetan Plateau. The same ice that they thought was over 500,000 years old, more than 500,000 years old. Mm-hmm. They throw some krypton dating at it, and maximum age, 17,000. There's another example of this where they were dating a crater created by a meteor in Australia. They at first thought it was over 300,000 years old. Now they're saying this is less than 200,000 years old. Isotope dating is a complete disaster. So right off the bat, I don't want to hear anything about 2 million year old ice. You don't know what you're doing. None of these people have any, unless the ice was dated with krypton, they should.
Really quick. isotope data. That's how they go ahead and judge the age of anything. But that's based on a consistent amount of output from the sun on a daily basis throughout the time they're going ahead and calculating it. And the sun is not a constant variable, ever. So aging techniques that we have that we think are rock solid, we think they're rock solid. But the magic word is think. We don't know.
Literally throw the results in the trash. But beyond that, we still have tropical glaciers today. In Africa, in South America, and in Southeast Asia. There are still glaciers in the tropics today. 12,000 years into a hot interglacial period. I don't think if you put Antarctica or Greenland at the equator for 12,000 years in a glacial period, they're going to melt. Not if we still have glaciers in the tropics today and it's a hot period. We're not in a glacial period. This is a hot period. There's still glaciers in the tropics today. You think Antarctica or Greenland are going to melt off in a glacial period when it's 20 degrees colder? I don't think so, and I don't believe you're isotope dating anyway. Kind of an interesting and important chart. The fact that there is a disaster cycle. The fact that it is due now. The fact that it is happening now. All that stuff is 99%. The fact that it is an extinction risk with these recent papers, I would say everybody should consider that one over 90%. Maybe even up towards the 99% range. The exact timing, as I have presented it, being due in the 2040s, I'd say put that one around 90%. Same with the galactic trigger. Too many coincidences. I mean, unless you think that we literally stacked 9 or 10 unrelated coincidences on top of one another, and that's all they are, is unrelated coincidences. Yeah. It's this galactic trigger. It's the galactic magnetic reversal. The fact that it's a solar micronova versus like a super flare, 70, 80%. And then as you go down with the Earth turning over, the tilt angle that I suggest, the tilt angle of some of the other individuals in this space, for example, Roger Cunningham, known as the ethical skeptic, he also believes there's going to be an approximately 90-degree tilt. I think he says it's a little off from 90 degrees, but essentially it's basically like a half turn or a quarter turn, depending on how you think of it. And instead of the new north and south poles in my model being the Bay of Bengal and near South America, he thinks the new polar regions are going to be Africa and somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. All of that stuff, as you see, we come down there, the percentage of certainty gets down, but it's also not as important as you get down there, is it? Because the fact that we have this disaster cycle, we're due in time, it's happening right now, it's speeding up, and this is an extinction level event, should be all anyone needs to really begin to care about what's happening at the moment.
My name is Zach Voorhees. I'm known as the Google whistleblower, and I had an inside view of how they did their censorship within Google. And I know the program. That program was called Machine Learning Fairness. And it was that program that led me here to Observer Ranch today. You know, when I was a kid, I noticed that the sun, I remember, used to be a lot more yellow. And I thought that as I got older that it was maybe my vision that was changing or something like that, but the sun sort of looks a little bit more whiter right now. But when Ben mentioned that the sun had used to be more yellow, I went, I remember that. And so I went on the internet and I tried to find, well, are other people noticing that the sun is getting more white? And sure enough, there's a whole bunch of people that are noticing the exact same thing.
That tiny little bit of light that is increasing here on Earth as the magnetic field weakens. Yes, it's mostly particles intruding more, but I said there was a small change in the light, and it's a broader spectrum of the light that is being let in. The more of the light spectrum you see, the whiter the light looks, and this is why the sun used to be yellow, but it's more white now. And it will go to red and then black and then have the solar micronova. But what's interesting is this matches the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The first horseman is white, wears a crown on his head. And the sun is so bright up at the top of the sky, its rays look like a crown. Who's coming next? The red horseman, stealing the civility of the people. I assure you, when the sun turns red, there will be no civility left on this planet. Black. Black is the next horseman. He carries the scales of justice. It's going to feel like we're all being judged when we see a black star moving across the sky. And what is the final one? A pale horse. And its name, it says on it, is death. And hell follows with him. And through the nova dust and the plasma, we will once again see those pale hues of the familiar sun. But hell is coming with it. It's quite the coincidence, isn't it? Let's take a look at the Apollo mission badge. That's a bunch of horses. Why is the sun so prominent in the Apollo moon mission? And what does Apollo have to do with the moon? Wasn't Apollo a sun god? You know, it's interesting. If this galactic current sheet is instigating solar blasts as it's coming, okay, maybe we can't see too far back in the past, but we should be able to look at the stars that are right in between us and the galactic center and see, okay, are they popping one after another? And it turns out they are. Turns out they absolutely are. Barnard Star, Proxima Centauri, AD Leonis. They're going off one by one, and not on this graphic actually from our 2021 book, but there's a Gliese star that they just discovered even closer to the galactic center. It's the next one in line, and it went pop before Barnard did. The sun is next in line.
So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the point where we've had all the different stars in our local group of stars that have all gone nova lately, and the only one that hasn't gone yet is us.
Are popping now because these are small red dwarfs. It is taking the super flare route more than a micronova route, but it is still these high level instigations by the galactic current sheet. And yes, we can track this. It won't tell us the year that the sun is going to go, but it can tell us that yes, everything that we've been expecting to see, we are seeing. And that includes the stars going boom directly in a line from the galactic center towards the sun, and we are next in line. You know, I can't help but think to myself, as I want a last word for you guys on this, that whether it's the pyramids or it's Derinkuyu, Cappadocia in Turkey, or it's something like the Texas rock wall, which is now buried, there is evidence of ancient cultures attempting to save themselves, attempting to hide from the sky, attempting to prepare for disaster. I think it's pretty obvious that the governments are doing this. The elites are as well. Elon Musk, he's got the Boring Company and SpaceX. He can go up or down. But Jeff Bezos can too. He's hollowing out a mountain across the street from one of the Blue Origin launch facilities. I have heard rumors that some of the remaining near space-worthy craft that Richard Branson have, buried beneath there is his bunker. Mark Zuckerberg, well, I don't think somebody told him the whole story. I wouldn't have built where he's building, but the point is, this does happen every 6,000 years. We are here talking about it on the internet. This should comfort you. But it will require awareness, preparation, and maybe a little luck. The one thing I can say is that doing nothing is not an option. Going back to focusing on life or social media or your job or whatever will not stop this from coming for you and your children. It's already on the doorstep. You may want to think about preparing.
You do have a bunker there. Is there something you know that we don't?
No, I think that's just like a little shelter under, and it's like a
little shelter. What are you worried about?
But Elon Musk says a couple things within just a few minutes. He says, if you want to go down a deep, deep rabbit hole, look into ice ages and how often they happen. He goes on to say that...
Well, let's listen to this.
Okay.
Listen to...
If you read about ice ages.
Yeah. Really? Like
Yeah,
what?
deep rabbit hole on ice ages.
What's so intriguing about them? The whole Earth has just been through the whole Earth is just freezing.
Like I said, there's deep rabbit hole on ice ages. Deep rabbit hole.
So interesting.
That how much Earth's climate has changed, and even where the magnetically where the poles are has shifted over time.
He knows.
Well, I'm going to have to grab that clip. Take a fucking screenshot of this. Wow. There we go, folks.
It's the end of the world for most of us. I mean, all these people on the beach, all these people in the cities, they'll be gone. I sometimes wonder if this entire thrust of my work was to be able to enable me to see that. Because if I hadn't learned all the things I've learned over the past 15, 20 years, and longevity and solar physics and stuff, I might not have ever been ready for this. I would have missed it, so to speak. I mean, it's terrible to think about it, but I expect to die. You know, that's the odds are I will. And if I don't, that's a great bonus. But I'm going to make every effort to make sure that I'm healthy enough to survive it, because I want to see it. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to live long enough to see the end of the world.
So coming out of that, someone asked for a super chat, not for a super chat. Someone asked for a survey. Where's the audience going to take us on this one? Let me get the sound effects up and figure out where I'm at. There we go. So where are we at, folks? Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
All right, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Starting, the mic's off.
All right.
The mic's back on.
All right, there we go. 1 minute and 22 seconds, folks. This is where you get a chance. You know, we've heard a lot of different things coming out of out of Ben Davidson for what he's been talking about, and he's just someone who's kind of accelerates in an area, and he's kind of smart in it, and he's been right where a lot of scientists have been wrong. So where are we at on this magnetic flip that we're heading into? Unfortunately, yes or hell no. This isn't fear-mongering. No, it's just a reality of what's coming ahead. If there's a bridge out and there's something we can do to get off that bridge or get to great safety, that's fine. But it's just like, what was that movie? Don't Look Up? Remember that one, folks? That turned out really well for humanity, didn't it? That's not any place we want to be. How about you, Brian? Are you more willing to look up or to look away?
No, I'm on the look up. I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody.
No.
And you or other, we want to find out what's going on here.
So if there's a truth, tell us the fucking truth, just like with aliens.
Well, and I do a lot of Victor Alien interview research, and he talks about Les Deluges des Solaires. That's supposedly coming. I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. But I wouldn't want to be underground if things are flooded. I'd rather be like a Noah with an ark. The average people cannot be prepared for something like this.
Yeah.
But everybody should be minimally prepared.
Right. Or just understand this is a possibility. It's kind of, you know what? If you live where there's a volcano, right? You understand what can happen if that volcano goes off, or you live somewhere where there's a fault. It's the danger of living where you live. Well, guess what? Beyond those shit, there's another layer up there that a lot of us haven't figured out. But if that's the case, that's the case. But you can't just put your head in the ground and say, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't exist.
No, and I think it's good to talk about this stuff and take in what some of these people have observed, and hopefully science can further things.
Yeah.
And we can get a more accurate description as to, okay, when or how. Okay, if this is going to happen, then we need to move people here. We need to do this.
Yeah.
I don't think that's unreasonable at all. But we also don't need to fearmonger people.
Right. But it's also looking to our past to understand our future. Something big happened then to make them go poof when they're gone. And that seems to happen with a lot of the big civilizations that were out there. We've, maybe just like the government can go ahead and classify types of math, like around nuclear power and stuff like that. Do they do the same with history?
I think they do, and I think they control archaeology as well. Yeah.
Just a thought, at least. On that note, thank you for coming out here, Brian. Thanks to everybody in the audience for being around. I want to go ahead and say thanks. It's been one heck of a great show. We appreciate everybody for coming here. We've had a great time talking about a lot of what's going on in Disclosure. And as we usually say, my friends, in the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.